Marathon Digital is the largest Bitcoin miner in the world. They have several locations in Texas and more across the United States. They are the largest by hash power with over 53 exahash per second. They have a total of 1,500 megawatts of power and in 4 continents of operation with 16 data centers. My question for you is, should you add Marathon Digital to your holdings? My quick answer is yes, but let me explain. Over the past year, Marathon has been basically trading sideways, not really going anywhere. It's had its ups and downs here. But I think that has a lot to do with the churn and the competition with the other Bitcoin miners. It is still the largest by hash power. Coming in second is Core Scientific, another great holding of mine, and I think that you should hold on to that one as well. No financial advice here, just my opinion. But with the amount of hash power and influence that Marathon Digital has, I think it's definitely worth holding for the long term. Again, large players don't hold on to these stocks for short-term gains. If you're a trader, maybe that's good for you. Maybe you can make a lot of money doing that. But a lot of the money in just investing in general is holding for the long term. So you have to think in times of years and possibly decades, because Bitcoin has a halving cycle of every 4 years. So it's just regular basis of cycling is, a little bit of a time crunch. It's every 4 years. We had a halving last year in April of 2024, and the price has skyrocketed since then. We'll get to Bitcoin in just a second, but I want to say another good thing about Marathon Digital is that recently, a couple weeks ago, they said that they were warming over 80,000 homes in Finland. This is huge. This is just another use case for the Bitcoin miners, is being able to use all of the excess heat that these miners produce and actually put it to good use somehow. There's a lot of power that these companies demand, and so there is a demand for more electricity, and therefore more electricity will be produced, that's actually a good thing when you think about it, because we want more energy. Everyone's talking about, reducing your carbon footprint. Well, we need to actually produce more electricity in order to help reduce that as a, percentage of population. One of the things that they can do to help this offset this carbon footprint is by using the excess heat from these Bitcoin miners to heat all of these homes. So instead of using natural gas or other electrical sources that may be less efficient, they can use the heat from these Bitcoin miners to power the homes. There was a FUD article a couple of years ago, I remember, that somebody said all the CO2 that comes out of the Bitcoin mining machine, like the machines themselves do not put out CO2. It's just really the only thing that the machines have is a fan, 2 fans maybe, that just the computer chips produce a lot of heat. And so the fans cycle through those computer chips to cool down the unit itself. And so they can actually use that heat for something. There are a lot of companies out there that are utilizing heat from Bitcoin miners to power, or heat your home. I've seen pictures of somebody heating their entire home with 3 Bitcoin miners. There are small Bitcoin individual units that you can put into a 3D printed case and use the heat generated from that to not only mine Bitcoin and generate an income, but use the excess heat to heat your home in the winter. And here we are in the winter, and it's quite cold across the United States right now. So I think those are great reasons to buy and hold Marathon Digital holdings. Kind of circling back to the share price, a lot of this really has to do with the price of Bitcoin. Yes, the price of Bitcoin has gone up, significantly since the ETFs were approved. And I believe, that was around in this area is when we started to get speculation on the Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. And so there was a huge run up in Marathon to that point. And then since then, they've kind of been trading sideways, really. I do own Marathon. It's, something that I'm going to keep in my account for a long time. Like I said, I don't, and I'm up. I'm not like, losing money on this at all, because I bought and continue to buy at low prices. So when it gets down to these levels down here, that's a good time to be buying this stock in particular. That being said, as I said, it is very dependent on the price of Bitcoin. So the price of Bitcoin over the past, 2 months, 3 months or so has been it's been churning in this, 90 to 105K area. And it's forming this descending wedge, this falling wedge pattern right here. Now these times where Bitcoin trades sideways can be very tumultuous, because if we go back in the year of 2024, it traded sideways. I don't know why it's not loading, but it traded sideways for 8 months. For 8 months, Bitcoin basically was going between the 50 to 70K range, and it felt like getting your teeth pulled. You're just waiting for the final pump to come, and here it is. A lot of this people might say is attributed to Michael Saylor, but he's still just a drop in the bucket when it comes to the total market cap of Bitcoin. So what's going to happen once this plays out? Well, here you go. Here is a descending wedge pattern, and once it plays out, if it hits the top 2 or 3 times, it tends to bounce off the bottom support here and then continue its move on up. Like I said, I think this is a very bullish time for Bitcoin. I think this is a great time to be buying. I dollar cost average DCA almost every single day. I use my excess cash to buy Bitcoin, to buy the publicly traded miners, and to put my money into places where I think I can make a good return. So I hope this video has been helpful for you to understand how Marathon Digital Holdings is doing great things in terms of powering the Finnish homes, over 80, almost 100,000 homes from Bitcoin heat, from Bitcoin miners that produce heat they're using to heat their homes. And that's a great thing. I think we're going to see more applications of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining in the years to come. And that's just one of the use cases for it. We think about the internet back in the early days of the 90s, and, no one really had any idea. I think the Kruger guy, there was some guy that equated the internet to the fax machine or something like that. It'll go the way of the fax machine. And that's clearly just not been the case. The internet has been the best way to make money and to do business than any other way in the past, 50 years. Everything is online now. So it has given us a way and transformation to apply the internet protocol to money. So that is what is giving Bitcoin a lot of value, is because we need a digitally native currency to trade with online, to exchange value with online, because there's no reason why you should be waiting 3 to 5 business days for your check to get settled in the mail, or for you to get paid, or to send money. And good luck trying to send money to other countries, especially those that aren't on the USD system. Like if you have family back in Africa, good luck with that, because it's not only going to take, weeks to send them this money, but it's also going to cost you money to send them that money. So it could be anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30% for just fees to send somebody money, if you can even get it to them, because there are many countries, not just in Africa, but in Asia, in Europe, not everyone works on the US dollar. And even if they do, like I said, it takes time and it's going to cost you money to send them value. Now you might think, why would I want to do that? Well, if you have an online business, you're being able to receive funds instantaneously has huge value to you. And you may not, think about that. That might not be something that you is on the forefront of your mind very, very often, but being able to get paid instantaneously within 10 minutes to an hour, or even faster with the Bitcoin Lightning Network, has huge amounts of value. And I think we are still very early, because you talk to the layperson on the street and they just do not care about Bitcoin. Like, They know people have made a lot of money, like myself, in Bitcoin, and they basically write it off because they think it's just a pump and dump or a scam or a Ponzi scheme, or they missed the boat. But this is something that is going to encapsulate the world. Everyone is going to use Bitcoin eventually. It will become the world reserve currency, in my opinion. I think that's definitely going to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I mean, it might, you never know, because you don't know. I mean, Bitcoin could start shooting up for no reason right now. I mean, just because you just don't know. So I think there's a good reason, an opportunity right now to be buying Bitcoin all the time. If you have the Strike app, like I use, you can use that to dollar cost average every single, I believe, down to the hour or maybe even the minute to buy Bitcoin. In all of 2022, I bought $1 of Bitcoin every single hour. And I tried to do that again this year, but things changed and I'm not able to do $1 an hour. I'll have to be doing a little bit less, but this is just a great opportunity. This is a revolution in money. And yeah, there are billionaires that have been made that bought Bitcoin really early and they held on to it. And you may think that you missed the boat on that, but if you really think about it, would you have held on to this for 10, 15 years had you bought it? And, maybe there are people that will double their money, sell it, and move on to the next thing. And that's just not what this is about. This is a revolution in money. And a lot of people will say, BlackRock and MicroStrategy own over 2% of the whole supply, and it's being co-opted by governments, and every single transaction is recorded and seen. And while that might be true, it's still a Trojan horse into the traditional financial system. And I think over time we're going to see the traditional financial system just change in ways that you just had never thought of before. It's hard, from someone in the early 90s to visualize how e-commerce and online radio and online video and, content being produced online would have developed over the next 20 years. So even though Bitcoin is 15 years, 16 years old now, we still have no idea the applications that are being created, the use cases for it, the ability to transact instantaneously. We just don't understand the value of that yet. And I think, as I said, Bitcoin will become the world reserve currency because you have countries like Russia and Iran that want to be able to use they might be enemies to the United States, or you might think of them as bad countries, but the individuals inside those countries are not bad people. They may have opinions just like you have opinions on them. They have opinions on you and the rest of the world. That doesn't make them bad people. They still want to trade and interact with each other globally. And when you have a money that is being weaponized like the US dollar is with sanctions and cutting countries like Russia off the SWIFT system, that's not a fair way to do business. Bitcoin is the most fair way to do business. It is the most secure computer network on the face of the planet with, umpteen quintillion terahashes per second. You cannot break it. And even if you could, with a 51% attack, you'd only be able to do it one time. And then the network difficulty adjustment would change, and you could not even obtain all of the Bitcoin mining machines possible to do that, nor the energy all in one place for you to do a 51% attack on the Bitcoin network. It's just not possible anymore. Maybe in 2010, 2011, 2012, that was still a possibility when it was very early on and the amount of computing power on the network was very low at the time. It's just not a physical possibility even at this time. Even if you were to get all of those machines and that power all in one place, like I said, you would only be able to hack, a wallet or two, and then the network would adjust and move on from there. Yeah, the price would go down a little bit, but there are people like myself that are buying Bitcoin every single day, and we will not stop. Because as a millennial, I just have grown up my entire life thinking that things were going to get better every single day, and things tend to get worse every single day, it seems like. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Our money, the US dollar, is being used as a weapon against other countries. It's being devalued on a daily basis. The Fed keeps printing money. They'll never stop. It just, so many problems that we've got in the world right now that a lot of it really comes down to the value and the user ability and the fairness of the money that we use. So when you have a more fair money, people will tend to do better in their lives. So like gold was a good standard to be on for, 6,000 years or whatever. And then the Fed was created in 1913. And then Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. And since those two dates, 1913, 1971, a lot has changed. But the number one thing that has stayed the same is that the US dollar continues to lose its value every single day. These companies, these people in power, they do not care about you. The only thing that cares about you the most is you. And the only way for you to get ahead in this world is to buy an asset that no one can control, no one can print out of thin air, no one can tell you whether you can use it or not, or prevent you from sending money to somebody else trying to do business. Bitcoin is the way to get around all of that. It is the Trojan horse into the new financial system. And, these short-term price manipulations of, trading in these ranges for so months and whatever, that's, it's all noise. So in the long run, Bitcoin is going to, millions, tens of millions, $100 million a coin, because the amount of value in the world, I believe, is somewhere around 400 to 500 trillion dollars. If Bitcoin just takes 10% of that, that's a 30 to 40 trillion dollar asset, and we're currently at like a $2 trillion asset. So we have 20x to go from here. 20x on 100K is 2 million. Sorry, 20 million. 2 million. I could do math, sometimes, but it's, I don't think it's going to stop at 10%. I think we're going on to, it'll take time and it'll be slow. But over the next decade or so, it's just going to eat up the rest of the world's financial system. Everyone's going to stop using the dollar because the United States has just weaponized it against countries, even the people that we are friends with in like the EU. In South America and Canada, like all of these countries are looking at the US and saying, what are you doing? Because if you can do that, if you can cut off Russia from the Swiss system, you can certainly cut us off from the Swiss system just because we do something that you don't like. And a lot of people don't like that. So I think that this is a great opportunity. We are still early. You'll hear that a lot in the Twitter spaces, but this train ain't stopping. It's going to keep going. So I hope this video has value to you. If you thought this was interesting, please drop me a comment. Let me know what you want to hear about. Like the video, share with your friends, watch all the way to the end. If you made it this far, please give me a thumbs up in the comments. Thank you.